If you're trying to create high-end looks for your clients, quilted fabrics are a perfect way to elevate their designs. So we're going to show you how to navigate all those quilted peaks and valleys on this episode of Decoration Mess. Welcome everybody to another episode of Decoration Mess. I'm Stephen Bear from S&S Activewear, and I am joining Josh Ellsworth at the STAHLS facility in Masontown, Pennsylvania. So excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. Yeah. And being live in studio is going to give a completely different experience where you're actually going to see up close all the heat press action on these beautiful garments.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, walking into this facility was like, we've been live on TV screens, right? So now live in person, I can feel the heat from the heat press. I mean, we're ready to rumble. So today's show, we're going to talk about a challenge that lies in quilted fabric. So it's a big fashion trend. It's a timeless piece when it comes to jackets, but these quilted pockets that exist, what are like some of the first challenges that you think of like when we book the show?
Yeah, so decorating quilted fabrics, the first thing you consider is the stitching and the pattern that is in the piece that makes the piece what it is. But decorating over top of that stitching requires some consideration. We typically don't want that showing through. Sure. And so it presents a little bit of a challenge of getting good coverage and picking a heat transfer that works well for that. And really the bigger challenge, I think, is there is a fill inside of these quilted fabrics, inside of these little pockets on the garment. And we don't want to damage the polyester material or whatever the material is inside of that fill and make it flatten because we lose the performance of the piece at that point.
Yeah, because that little pocket creates that puffy kind of look and feel and really, you know, brings out the stitching and makes it a quilted fabric. So these are all polyfills. So again, we're going into a territory where heat and poly is constantly the challenge, right? So prep time is key. And I say we, jump right in.
Let's do it.
I'm excited to see the product live.
Yeah, so you brought this in as the first piece
Absolutely.
That we're going to start with.
Yeah, so this is the a quilted pullover from Boxercraft. This is brand new this year. It's the R08. And as you can see right on camera, I mean, you can see these little pillow pockets here. So, here we go.
Here we go. Right. So, I love this. It's a piece that feels great. It's a higher end, and we're going to turn over to our Hotronics auto open clam. This is the heat press we use in most of our episodes. And first thing we're going to notice is being able to split these garments open and actually thread them onto the heat press is going to make a big difference for our heat application. And so we are threading that on, trying to get to at least a single layer of fabric if we can. And you'll notice how we're going to retract this, and that collar just is going to drop off of the edge.
It's clean.
And so completely flat printing surface, especially where the placement of my graphic is going. Anytime you're decorating any fabric, it's a good idea to preheat. But certainly if there's cotton in the garment, it tends to retain a lot of moisture. And that only takes a few seconds to get that moisture and wrinkles out. Now, the transfer that we've selected today is a flock material. So this actually has a raised fiber to it. It's almost a velvet finish. And so this premium look is going to match this premium fabric. So we will position that into place. You say, how do you know it's straight? Well, a tip for that is fold it back to back. And let's go ahead and create a centering line there. For ourselves. And so that way we can just position that into place, do a quick double check to make sure we're even.
Very cool.
Cover it with a cover sheet, and you ready for the big action? We're just going to lock the heat press down.
Yeah, I love it.
But guess what? You're going to do it. So go ahead and grab the handle.
I like it.
And lock it all the way down till you feel it click. Just like that. So,
easy peasy.
Yeah, so this is 300 degrees, 10 to 12 seconds. It's going to automatically open.
Wow.
And when it opens, we're going to grab the corner and we're going to remove the carrier from the design. And so you can see we get a really nice coverage over that stitching. We get a really nice feel and a premium piece on there.
Wow. Standing here live, okay, this is much quicker than like when I'm on camera waiting at home. because I'm sitting here going, okay, what's the timing of this, right? For decorators out there, that was like that.
Yeah, you load it. I say we're doing a shirt a minute once you're proficient at the heat press. So I love this piece. Honestly, we're starting a little easy, but we are going to ratchet up the challenge considerably with our next piece and teach you some other concepts. So this is a really high-end jacket.
Nice. Yeah, this is the quilted jacket, bomber jacket from HeatLast, from Weatherproof. Weatherproof has several brands with us at S&S. They have Weatherproof Vintage, 32 degrees, and then HeatLast and CoolLast. This is the HeatLast, obviously, because we're in the jacket category, but this is nylon. Yeah. So, you know, when you start looking at this pattern, and this is very fashionable, it's a top seller in their line, has a female companion, but, you know, when you're looking at this and you're bringing this product in, you get nervous, right? And let's take it. Let's take it.
So we're going to teach you a couple concepts here. Number one is we have a zipper that we have to deal with. And so I love the heat printing pillow when we're dealing with zippers. It has kind of a polyester fill itself to give it that cushion, but that's going to allow our zipper to sink down into the fabric. So same thing, I'm just going to split the garment open. We've chosen just a pretty basic left chest application, but we're going to teach you some advanced techniques here. So I'm going to slide the pillow over, and I'm positioning it just so the zipper falls off the edge. The zipper could certainly sink into it, but if I can position it so the zipper is off the edge and not a factor at all, even better. And then same thing, I'd like to preheat, and preheat here is going to give me a couple things. Yes, if there were any moisture, nylon doesn't tend to hold moisture. It would help with that, but now I'm checking more for the pressure because I've added the thickness of a pillow, right? And so I'm at a 5 pressure, which is a medium pressure, which will just be fine for this. There's a digital readout on the display, and we wanted to get a glitter finish on this jacket, okay? But the reality is you can't really find glitter materials that are out there in the market, to my knowledge, that'll stick the nylon. It's just not a big market for nylon adhesive on glitter. And so we're going to let a background heat transfer film that does have a nylon adhesive do the work for us and draw some contrast in the look.
So you're putting that down first.
Yeah. So if you look at these two pieces, they fit right on top of each other.
No kidding.
Yeah, and so I'm using the nylon adhesive to actually adhere to the nylon. And so we're going to position that into place. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and grab thermal tape. I will show you this. So thermal tape is just a material that you see how it's curling there underneath the heat. That's a risk. I don't want it to move on me. So I'd rather just take the time to pop a piece of tape on here. Let me stand in front and put it on my jacket. Pinch top shoulder, centering line down to the center of the graphic from pinching the top corner of the jacket. And that's our center. So let's just go ahead and tape that down. Using a cover sheet's always a great idea. I know it's not going to move, so I'll just flatten it with the cover sheet. And then the background layer here is just going to go down for a few seconds. So I'll just lock it down for just a few seconds to get it to temporarily adhere. I don't want it under there too long, or it may shrink a little and make my alignment of my top layer difficult.
So now that just flattened out.
Yeah. Now, when you're going to nylon, there's some special consideration. This is a cold peel, right? Okay. And so we know we can, shake it out. A couple ways to cool it down. Yeah. We can hold it to the wall. We can blow on it, right? So there's a lot of different ways that we can cool it down, but we're trying to pull the heat out of this quick. If I were running 24 of these jackets for a client, I would simply throw them to the side and come back when I'm ready to get to the foreground layer. But we should be pretty cool to the touch here. And then I'm going to grab the corner. You see how that's just releasing there, and the tape pulls up. And I have a nice metallic finish, which would be nice on its own, but let's load it back on there. Again, a little more detail, a little more work on this piece, but we're decorating a high-end jacket. There's going to be plenty of profitability.
Absolutely. You want to take your time and do it right.
So you see, you can see clear line.
Now you can just clearly line that up.
Yeah, right through there. Just position it down. We made this one tight, complete tight registration. You can make it a little easier on yourself, but that looks really sharp. Cover it, and now our second hit is going to go on for the full application, which for glitter is 10 seconds. So I'm going to make sure it's at 10 seconds. Let the heat press do the work while we count the money.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I like it. No, and I loved how you used it like the pillow top. You can just kind of just shove it in there, move it around a little bit. It's not such precision as you may think, right?
Yeah, it's easy. Right?
Oh, wow. Look at
Peel that right away and go from there. Now, we're live. So there's something, this is the first time I've done this piece. There's something I'm not happy with. You probably think it looks great. Your customer probably would think it looks great. Do you see anything wrong at all?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm picking up is just the slightest indent from that glitter carrier that left an impression in the fabric. Now, that's happened. And so there's a couple ways I can deal with that. One is I can try to throw it back on, hit it with the cover sheet for 10 seconds, see if that pushes that out. Likely it's damaged and it's impacted, and that'll show up more on soft, supple fabrics. And so the next one I would do, what I would do is I would just press that glitter for just 2 seconds with the carrier sheet, get that carrier sheet off right away so it doesn't leave that impression, then cover it and do the full application. That's right. So we can get rid of that carrier sheet quick. But, you know, this is durable. This will last. We got the nylon adhesive onto there.
I think that looks fantastic.
Yeah, pretty sharp, pretty sharp.
But again, it goes back to prep, right? Like, since that was the, like, we rushed in here in studio and just hit the machine. Yeah. And so if we did that beforehand, you know, no problem, no sweat, moving on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so one of the things I'm most excited about being here live in studio is there is a whole decorating facility on the other side of the wall from our studio that I get to work in every day. And there's some pretty cool things going on out on the floor. We've heated up our 360 IQ hat heat press because we're going to need it for the application. So let's head out on the floor and I'll show you a little bit about how that's going to work.
Oh, I love it. This is why I am so excited to get on the road and be here live. I mean, we are in the back of the house seeing where all the action is. What is going on back here? I see a bunch of jerseys and...
Yeah. So this is our STAHLS DFC. That stands for Decorating Fulfillment Center. And here, the majority of the work that we do is licensed decoration for the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, and more. So we're putting names, numbers, and products onto these jerseys to go into the arenas or actually into people's homes, drop ship from the website. So some really cool action and all powered by heat pressing, believe it or not.
That is very cool. Yeah, because when you see it in the retail space, I mean, you're in the moment, right? You bought the ticket to the game, you're ready to buy that jersey, and this is where it all happens.
Yeah, and I wanted to set us up here with the 360 IQ hat heat press. We keep this out on the floor in action regularly. We've pulled it out here because it's going to be really important to our application on this garment, which is a sublimated patch. And actually the same sublimated patch, we call it CAD Prints Permatwill, is what we are using for the numbers and the sponsor logos that go onto the actual jersey. So we're going to apply that to this piece. And so talk to us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so this is a brand new piece from J America. This is their Horizon quilted hooded pullover. You can see the snaps right here. Nice snap closure. Just a great piece. And again, right in that quilted category. So it presents some challenges. Here we have a horizontal challenge. So how are we going to do it?
Yeah. So first things first is I need to make sure the logo's straight. Okay. Yeah. And that would be a challenge if I just threw this up onto the heat press. So let's lay it out. Let's tape that sublimated twill logo into place and we'll go from there.
Very nice.
So much like the other left chest application, I'm going to do that line from the pinching top shoulder to find the centering of my graphic. And this gives me full view of the garment to position that into place very easily. I have some nice seam structure here that's helping me. And I definitely want to tape this, and I don't want to skimp on the tape because I don't want this to move with this piece as I'm moving it over to the hat press. So I like to do an X pattern usually to tape my logo in place. And then we'll go ahead and split the garment open and we'll move it over to the press. And again, this is heating from underneath. It's a little thicker fabric, so I want to make sure that the heat has time to travel through. And I always like to use this foam cover pad just to protect the fabric itself. And it's not really important to see the control board. I've already set that up for the 45 seconds. So I'm just going to, well, you want to lock it down again?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, lock it down. That's it.
Nice.
Right? And so this is 45 seconds. So what I always say is if you have one and you're doing enough work, it makes sense to have two side by side because while this is here, what are you going to do?
You can be loading the other one.
The next item, exactly.
So, I mean, this machine fascinates me because when we started with the 360 IQ, it was with headwear, right? It was built for that. But in several of our shows, we've used this because it's so versatile.
Yeah.
But it's really that bottom heat. Can you explain a little bit more the importance of that?
Yeah, yeah. And so it's a heat sandwich. So we have 280 degrees on top. We have 320 degrees on bottom. So the majority of the heat is coming from underneath of the item, which is not only helpful for applying dimensional products, but also reducing our risk of scorching fabrics. Now, I do want to get this off here and flat somewhat quickly because I don't want it to maintain that curve. That's one of the trade-offs, right? And so I'm just going to get it flat rather quickly. I'm going to let it cool down before I peel the thermal tape from the backing, and that's all. But this could just lay flat on the table, and then we peel the thermal tape, and we have a completed piece. So
super clean.
See? And that's it. I mean, it's on there.
So, I mean, the thermal tape is key here, right? I mean, well, you can put as much or as little as you need, but man, it really helped.
Well, yeah, and we talk about
first-class piece.
Branding, location, and placement, like not a big deal. I can press the hood. I can press the cuff. I mean, there's so many print locations I can hit with a heat press with a high-end patch product like this. It's awesome, but you know, this was intended for hats. So what do you say we do a hat on it while we're here as well? So
I love it.
Quilted hats, who would have thought?
Quilted hats, who would have thought? It is such a trend. Sportsman has stepped in and brought us a quilted hat. Sportsman is a brand that's been around for over 75 years. They bring first quality hats, but they also follow trends, i.e. the quilted hat. So what are we looking at here is the same kind of challenge, right? You've got valleys and seams and stitching.
And with hats in general, we have other issues. So number one, let's flip that sweatband out and let's get it loaded onto the press. Make sure my hold down device is in the open position. I'm going to just kind of fish it onto here. Nice and easy. And then you lock this hold down device. That makes sure the hat is completely flush.
Yeah.
Okay. And by heating from underneath, we've solved that nasty crease mark that you typically get on headwear. Okay. So this press really was designed to solve that crease mark when you're printing on headwear. And for this logo, we're going to use a product called Flex Style. Cool. Another great name if you're marketing this is liquid embroidery, because a consumer can relate to that. We're just going to position that into place. Now, I like to hold this here for just a second. This allows me to
then heat's coming through.
Then I don't have to waste the thermal tape. 10 seconds gets it to hold there. You see how it's holding in place? Then we're going to drop this down over it. And go ahead, let's lock it down again.
Let's do it.
So 280 degrees on top, 320 degrees on bottom. I forgot to change my setting. That's okay. Flexed out only takes 30 seconds. So I could have cut 15 seconds out of the recipe.
But look at this clear display right here. You can do the countdown.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it on the microwave all the time.
You open that microwave early?
You know, I put in 2 minutes and I pull it out when I need to. So
yeah, and I love this press because the other thing you get about is you get the clearance underneath. We call it the 360 press because not only can I print the front location, I can rotate this hat and hit any branding location on the hat that I want. Do bucket hats. I mean, there's so many. No hat cannot be conquered on this except for youth hats. That's the one exception. Okay. Because you can't decorate the really small youth hats, but any adult hat, no problem. Sure. It's going to open when it's finished. 3, 2, 1, blast off, open the press, remove the hat the same way you put it on. And then the big reveal is you just let it cool down to the touch and then go ahead and grab that corner and peel that away.
Easy peasy.
Completed result, ready to sell.
That is super smooth.
All right. So what do you say we take a look at all of our finished results together?
I would love it.
All right, let's go back in. So hopefully at this point in the episode, our viewers are feeling confident approaching quilted fabrics. We've showed them how to do everything from a flock finish to a glitter to patch products to sublimated twill. So it's all in their hands. So talk to us a little bit about what markets you're seeing up and coming for these fabrics.
Yeah. So, I mean, the quilted category, I mean, it's all about fashion, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's trending. And so where we've seen it go into markets like with Boxercraft. Boxercraft leans predominantly with the female. And, you know, we have the crew necks. We're adding the color. So it's everything from, you know, terracotta and things like that. And then the crew neck. That's why we featured the crew neck today. Then you move on into the HeatLast jacket, that quilted pattern. We've had a lot of success. Think of automotive in their interiors. A lot of the high-end cars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They have the quilted leather seats. And then when you walk in that dealership and you see that quilted piece, nicely decorated. Yeah. And you want it, right? And then always accessorize, right? We have a quilted hat that goes with the quilted jacket. So, I mean, the list just goes on. So that's how we merchandise at S&S. And we lean on great partnerships like STAHLS to decorate it. And man, it just looks fantastic. So
Good. So a lot of profit potential in this episode of Decoration Myths.
For sure. It's always about the profit, right?
Good. Well, I appreciate you coming in. And I know the decorators watching will be able to do great things with the looks. And getting your hands on a heat press has been the highlight of this episode for me.
It's fantastic. I'm glad I didn't get my hand caught in it. But thanks again for having us out. It's awesome to be here. We covered a lot of great products once again in this episode. Please check out the product links below for all the information that you need, and we look forward to seeing you next time.